reflection in all my daydreams. Fading to the street is a seven-headed demon coming down to get me, and all of his face said it looked like me. One wears blood in the shadow of his eye. One wears...
All right, welcome to You Watch, I Listen. We are on the air and totally unaware. Thank you for everyone that was patient while I teased nonsense for a few weeks. I'm Dan Perozzi. To the right of me is Ralph. Ralph?
Yep, how's it going? You know, I'm going to be honest, you were annoying me with all the teasing of this, and I'm on the show.
Yeah, well, you know what? I get bored and my mind goes, and I also don't sleep, so I'm up late and I'm trying to do things.
The Photoshops are good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's fun. The only one I was worried about was the engagement photo, and the fact that your fiance said after, I'm offended that you even had to ask if it was okay.
Look,
so what she was saying was you were being a little bitch.
Yeah, that's the thing. Whatever I did in that situation, it would have been wrong. We know that. So this is, I feel like, the better of the two situations.
So, I'm not going to take any time explaining what the format of this show is. The title should give it away, and as we talk, it should give it away. On the other side of the boards, I want to thank Mark, Mike, and Michelle for taking care of the callers, taking care of everything we need. Speaking of which, Mark, can you get me a beer, please? And feel free to call in. We got a couple people waiting online right now. We have a very special guest, our resident expert, Randy Fastball, calling in a little bit to give us some tips on relationships, which I'm very interested to see what he has to say. And so he wants to talk about the Mets. He really goes for the Mets.
He's a big Met fan.
He always goes for them, and I know he goes.
They're America's team, dude.
And he goes for Mariners too. That one is a little tougher for me to believe, but he does go for Mariners.
Yeah, look, he's coast to coast.
Now, before we get started, I want to thank one of our sponsors, Dr. Bob Roberts Foot Insoles. As someone that doesn't have gigantic feet, I'm a size 10.5 shoe, but I have very wide feet. Dr. Bob Roberts insoles have made my life very easy when I'm buying shoes. Not too big, not too small, makes it very comfortable, any fit. I recommend going to drbobroberts.com, and also want to thank Selected Ticket, my employer. You need tickets for concerts, sports, theater, anything. Go to selectedticket.com. Use promo code DANP10 for $10 off your purchase on any event. Right tickets, right price. Selectedticket.com.
Dr. Bob has hooked me up multiple times because I got these big, stupid Italian feet, and I'm just ripping through them, but he keeps them nice.
And you like to wear shoes for like 2 years before you buy new ones.
Yeah, there's a piece of plastic that keeps jamming right into my soul, and
you got to talk to Dr. Bob Roberts and get those insoles, man.
The insoles are the only reason that it's not going straight through my tendons.
You could always just buy new shoes.
No. I don't operate that way. I don't operate that way.
All right. So when we get started, the first thing I want to talk about is, and I know you're not big on this subject, but I decided last night to go with two of my friends to see the opening of Avengers Infinity War, the culmination of 10 years of movie making. It started with Iron Man back in 2008.
Iron Man?
Iron Man.
Iron Man?
That's my dream, not a movie. So I haven't been big on the Marvel stuff recently. I always see them at some point, but I have not gotten to see one in the theater since Guardians. And I really did enjoy it. I was entertained. It was very funny. Dave Bautista really kind of stole it. He steals it in Guardians. He plays
Bautista?
Drax the Destroyer in Guardians of the Galaxy. Dave Bautista was a WWE wrestler.
I didn't know he had a first name.
Yes.
I thought it was just Batista.
Well, to me, he's Batista as a wrestling fan, but now he's Dave Bautista. He's been in the new Bond movies.
Just like Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Yeah, no, he goes by Dwayne Johnson now. When he's in the WWE universe, he is The Rock.
Oh, thanks for clearing that up.
Idiot. So, going on again, I got to say, I was impressed with the movie as someone that has had what people are calling Marvel fatigue. They did a good job, man. It was funny. It was long. It was very dark. Now, where are you at with the Marvel movies and how they're going?
All right. So, I first things first. I'm not a superhero movie fan. I never have. I never.
You like
really
Batman,
will.
though?
Batman's good. I do like Batman. I liked Batman vs Superman.
No, you didn't.
I did.
It wasn't that bad.
Look, I went in with very low expectations. I had fun. That's what
Justice League was terrible, though.
Justice League was.
It was worse than Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. That's what
Suicide Squad was a disaster.
That was just.
Thanks
it was
a lot,
painful,
Jared Leto. Yeah, Oscar-winning asshole.
He was great in that. I liked how he had the tattoo and he went out of the movie.
It made me wish
most
that
of it.
what happened to him in Dallas Buyers Club actually happened to him.
Oh.
So as you said, you're not into the superhero stuff. But which of the Marvel movies have you seen?
I've seen. Okay, I gotta think because they're few and far between. I saw Iron Man or Iron Man. Iron Man 2. I think I saw Iron Man 3 too.
That was the shitty one with Guy Pearce and Ben Kingsley.
Is that the one with all the suits that come
yeah,
out
and he's barely in the suit, and fucking Gwyneth Paltrow saves the day. Yeah, exactly.
I forgot about that.
I remember, the other thing with a lot of these movies is I see them the first time, and like the experience of it is cool, and then you watch it again, and you're like, this is a load of shit.
You know what it is with these movies? I feel like, when you're looking at a light for a long time, and then you look away, and you see sort of the light, but it slowly fades, and you just remember that you're staring at a light, but you can't recall it. That's what it is in my memory. I immediately see it, and then it just slowly fades, and all the details blend together.
So that's a great point, and that's where it got to with me. I mean, they've released 19 movies in 10 years.
19 superheroes.
19 movies, dude, and they have more. There's Captain Marvel's coming out next year.
Wait, who's Captain Marvel?
Brie Larson is playing Captain Marvel. Academy Award winner Brie Larson, very good actress. But I don't know. I mean, listen, I doubted Wonder Woman, and that was a juggernaut. And the way they set up the end of Infinity War does open a big opportunity for her.
Of course it does, because you need another movie.
Oh, you need a woman in the main role too. Obviously, no, that doesn't bother me either. Wonder Woman was the best of the DC movies by far.
I didn't see Wonder Woman, but again, it won because I'm not a big superhero movie fan to begin with. But two, it was something different.
Correct.
That's what I look for in a movie. The ones that I'm excited for are the ones that usually like
Mark my beer, please.
Mark.
All right, I got it now.
You know what? That just completely threw me off.
All right,
Wonder Woman. Wait. Let's see where we got here. Wonder Woman, beer, Mark, Wonder Woman. There we go. No, it was something different. That's what I, look forward to. Ant-Man I saw in theaters. Loved Ant-Man.
A lot of fun. Paul Rudd is great.
Paul Rudd
and
was
he brought the perfect comedic element to that.
It's because I went into the movie. I didn't know anything about Ant-Man.
Did you even know Ant-Man is the original Avenger? He
started
the
wonderful.
Avengers, and it took 14 movies to get him in.
That's how great he is that he started the Avengers and isn't even in them anymore.
That's a tough character to bring to screen. They did a decent job. But again, I think the biggest problem, and one of the reasons I think this new movie works so well, was they finally got a villain that made an impact.
Bruce Willis.
No, it's not Bruce Willis. It's Josh Brolin plays Thanos.
And looks like Bruce Willis.
It looks like Bruce Willis because he has a dominant chin. What are you talking about?
He looks like Bruce Willis rolled around in
He didn't say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. So it was not Bruce Willis. He can't be in a movie without that.
That's all he says in The Sixth Sense. What about that movie where he?
I see dead people. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
What about that Disney movie where he meets himself?
The kid. I saw the kid in the theater.
You won.
Yeah.
Is that part of the Marvel universe?
The kid, yeah.
The kid actually says yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
The kid actually turns into Thanos, according to you. It's a prequel.
You had a bad day.
But so the thing they did, and you said you've seen some of these, and you can't really remember a villain, I'm sure. Loki is the only one people really remember.
Loki.
And outside of that, who do you remember?
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah,
Mickey Rourke was a villain in Iron Man.
Do you remember his character's name? And that was Iron Man 2.
Iron Man.
He was a Russian that had a bird. That was Iron Man 2. Iron Man 1 was Jeff Bridges as Jebediah, who was running Stark Industries. And in Iron Man 2, it was actually Sam Rockwell that was pushing the buttons.
None of this rings a bell. I remember Mickey Rourke. I remember the bird. I remember he had whips.
Birdman? Birdman was a good movie.
Is he in the Marvel?
Actually, Michael Keaton is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as he played the Vulture in The Amazing Spider-Man, which was also a very good.
The Vulture.
He's that's the thing. So that's exactly my point. So in Infinity War, Thanos, they didn't make him the one-dimensional villain where it's I want to take over the world. While his ultimate end game is domination.
Yeah.
They actually gave him shades to his character. They gave some emotion to his character, and they made you actually almost to an extent understand why he was doing.
You were empathetic to him.
Yeah, exactly, and that it made it matter. And they didn't. The biggest thing I was afraid of, and this is not a spoiler, that they were going to give you the hunky dory. The team banded together through adversity and saved the day. Fuck you, they did not.
Oh, good. They all fought.
It was dark, man. It was it literally the ending and the way everything came together had a very Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, Mark, more beer. Empire Strikes Back feel to it, where it was just I don't know what's going to happen.
All hope is lost.
In the theater,
kind of thing.
There were grown men weeping.
Well,
at the
there's
end.
no reason for that.
Well, I agree with that completely. Those men should be eradicated from the earth. I have no problem with crying at a movie. Just don't cry at a superhero movie. You complete piece of garbage. So
that's not true. There weren't men crying.
no, dude,
there weren't men crying.
We had a man sitting behind my friend Colucci, who was gasping throughout the movie when a character came on screen.
Didn't you see the trailer? I saw the
But so
trailer.
he was doing this throughout the movie, and then
How did
at
he
the
not
big
turn around
the
and
big
punch him
climax
in
in the last 10 minutes, I heard.
No, you're making this up.
I wish I was.
making this up.
But this is the
True.
worst part. So this guy gets up and leaves. He was there by himself, so it tells you a lot about his.
It was too
propositions.
emotional for him? He
No,
had to leave?
when the movie was over, it ended. He got up.
That's what people usually do.
And which shocked me as this guy who was a big nerd didn't stay for the famous Marvel post-credit scene. But then I look around and there's like 10 to 20 other adults in the theater crying. I know. And then I remembered why I don't go see these movies in the theater anymore. Although I did enjoy it, I would recommend seeing it at some point. Just be prepared because everyone dies.
That's great.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, good. You usually do those after. I honestly, I don't care.
So-
I couldn't. I've known about this movie for I don't know what. It's been
10 years. It was the culmination of 10 years of
10
films.
years. For the last like 2, I knew it was coming, and the amount of hype I had before that very professional moment you had, the amount of hype I had before the movie was released and now is the exact same. Indifference.
Yeah,
Stale indifference.
The big thing I'd say is I've been expecting the Marvel stuff to fall off for a while, like financially and everything. But the movies just keep. It's gonna do. Apparently, it's on track to do like 500 million opening weekend. It's gonna smash the box office record. Based on reviews and word of mouth, it'll probably end up beating Avatar for the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah, but they pumped a lot of money into it. It has to be, right?
I would think so. I mean, apparently the budget between the making of the film and the marketing is like 300 million. So
that's like the GDP of a state.
Yeah, exactly. They spend a lot of time. I mean, when you just
That's like
look at the amount of
Arkansas's exports for 6 months.
One of the subjects that regarding this whole Marvel fatigue thing is one of my friends, my Canadian friend Alex, brought up was that nerd culture is kind of taking over, and I would say that's probably true. When you kind of look at it, there's been superhero movies for a long time. You had the old Spider-Man, the Superman series. There was a Spider-Man series. There was a Batman series with Adam West. The Batman movies with Michael Keaton. The Superman movies with Christopher Reeves, but they were like events.
They were events. I remember, didn't care about movies. Then I saw, wow, there's a new Batman. That was great. Christian Bale came out.
And they told you where he got all his fancy toys from.
That was cool. And it was an event. 3 movies. That was it. I like that. You had closure. There wasn't any,
You mean you don't like a movie coming out every 6 months like it happens now?
Who
would have thought?
I can't stand it.
There's no build-up or anticipation. Now, remember when Spider-Man first came out with Tobey Maguire? It was like a big fucking deal.
That was cool.
It looked great. When X-Men came out, it was fucking a big deal. Now it's just like, another Marvel movie. They come out with these movies every 6 months, and they're always fucking massive.
Until that sponge is dry. They're just going to keep twisting it till every drop.
mean, because you can only tell so many stories, and
then you're gonna I like a new superhero, but you're gonna get to these like C-level characters.
Well, what's really gonna happen? It kind of started with Black Panther. Is that people are they're gonna cast a new Spider-Man, and he's gonna be an African-American gentleman, and then people will be offended, and then they'll be arguing back and forth, and it'll do great anyway.
That's
and
a beautiful
it's a fucking movie!
Who cares?
I don't personally, but overall, the nerd culture is
kind of... who the current Spider-Man is.
Tom Holland.
Oh, Tom Holland.
Before that, it was Andrew Garfield.
I remember that one. I like that one.
That first one was good. The second one was terrible. And then Tobey Maguire before that.
And then wasn't the La La Land in there? Big Feet Girl?
Emma Stone, yes.
Yeah.
She played Gwen Stacy in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 2...
Can't have a movie without Gwen Stacy.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 had one of the worst endings to a movie I've ever seen.
I don't care.
It ended on a cliffhanger with him about to fight the villains they showed in the trailer.
And then they didn't finish the series,
It was him about to fight Rhino, played by the great Paul Giamatti.
Oh, rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace. Speaking of which, actually, I'm going to segue a little bit here. Today, WWE, I know you're not a fan, but they had their greatest Royal Rumble event.
This is a good start. It's like, hey, let's bring up 2 things.
I don't care.
Give a shit about.
This is what I'm about. I'm a fucking dumb guinea.
I like WWE a little more than Spider-Man 8.
So today they did the greatest Royal Rumble event in Saudi Arabia. It was Saudi Arabia paid WWE $200 million to host an event with no women on the card.
Did they make a new Marvel movie out of that?
Yes.
All right.
So during the event, they were like saying all these different. It was the reason it was the greatest Royal Rumble, and I know you actually like Royal Rumbles.
But Royal Rumbles are fun. I love
usually
those.
It's 30 superstars. They did 50 this time. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but while he was coming down, Michael Cole, one of the commentators, goes, patented by the late great Sergeant Slaughter.
Wait. He's not dead, right?
He's not dead at all.
Even I know
he was
that.
just on WWE TV like a month and a half ago, and we know these wrestlers can drop off pretty easily.
Vince loved that, I'm sure.
Yeah, late great Sergeant Slaughter. So just like Paul Giamatti, you can't just kill people. Who just says people died without them actually dying? Oh,
Well, they'll just come back next movie.
that's true. You can always bring them back, which they'll probably do in the Marvel movies.
Sergeant Slaughter would be played by a new actor now.
So, is there anything that you wanted to discuss? I mean, this is our podcast. I'm kind of dominating the conversation right now.
Well, that's because you're a colossal, ass. That
I have an
light
opinion.
just came back
I
on.
have an
It
opinion about
startled
everything.
me.
I know Mike is not on top of his job. He's leaning on the switch, and it keeps turning on and off. It's like we're in a in Blade.
All right.
Comic movie.
So it's a little big of a segue from what we were talking about, but
I'm fine with
I was
that.
reading this article earlier. Apparently, there's this guy. It's about a year-old story, so if you already know it, go screw off.
gonna
He
mute you.
basically, he used to get paid by a PR firm to write fake reviews on Yelp, TripAdvisor.
Oh
things like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
one of those guys.
I, as someone that works in that field, I see that a lot.
Yeah. So he kind of figured out the algorithm and the way these restaurants work.
To get their ratings up higher
Yeah.
and have them appear higher.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then he also took into account the way our culture is, the way it comes with how we are attracted to things, what catches, what doesn't catch, what's, popular, etc. So he made a fake restaurant in London. Registered with TripAdvisor. Apparently, you don't need to do much vetting. You just need a website and a phone number. So he bought a
Cost
burner
you $10.
burner phone, registered on TripAdvisor. He did it out of his shed, and he called the shed on Burlington Street or something like that.
Okay.
And puts it on there, and it's ranked 8,600 out of 8,600 because it's day one. So then he went to the store, bought all his cleaning supplies like bleach, Tide Pods. Ironically, used Tide Pods to make the food.
We all love those.
And took pictures of it so it looks really, really fancy. Just generic. High quality bullshit and all that. So anyway, he took these pictures, uploaded it to the 86th, 100th ranked restaurant, left it there. Made a website, put all these recipes are all named after your mood.
So he made it look like it was legit.
Made it look like a legit hipster shed restaurant.
Okay.
And all the menu items are like, if you're feeling blue, order
So it was a place for douchebags.
it was a place for douchebags.
Okay, got it. Moral of the story. But
And he got all his friends to write reviews, and just the generic hipster reviews. Ambiance, the music that the guy's making, and all that.
so it was a fun little troll thing for him and his friends.
Yeah. And then it's going on for a couple of weeks. Then all of a sudden he's getting calls asking for reservations on this burner phone. So people are trying to get reservations to the shed in his backyard.
Some fucking made-up restaurant.
Made-up restaurant
for
in London.
douchebags.
So this guy...
want to listen to
So
Sunny
the
Day
guy-
Real Estate.
So then the guy, brilliant move, says, we are booked for the next 6 weeks. What makes a restaurant more popular? If you can't go to the goddamn restaurant.
But why was okay? I'm sorry to cut you off, but why was he doing this?
Because he's the greatest person to ever live.
So he just wanted to fuck with people.
just wanted to fuck with
All right,
people.
I'm listening. Go
I'm
on.
all in with this guy. So he's panicking, and people are calling, and it's going up the charts. And then all of a sudden, because no one's going, he's getting more requests. And because of the amount of reviews he's having written, people are saying it's great, it's great. People are posting pictures with their Tide Pod dinner and all that. It eventually cracked the top 100. All right, without serving one single customer. So the guy took it to another level. He started taking the reservations and getting people to come to his backyard, mowed the backyard, turned the shed into one of those hipster, reclaimed wood bullshit. Puts like handmade trays. That's the thing when it comes to like hipster and trendy places. The worse it looks, the more half-assed it is, the more they like it.
It's what makes going to Brooklyn so
It
terrible.
looked like anything out of Brooklyn. Then he got like 10 of his
No
friends
offense to people who
filled.
live
All offense to people who live in Brooklyn. The Dodgers. So anyway, he got 10 of his friends to come. Put lawn furniture out there, and he took 10 reservations. Goes to his local supermarket, buys microwavable food.
Like the fucking go to 7-Eleven and get the 99-cent bean burrito.
Lean cuisine.
I would have just bought some double gulps and
Those
put them out.
Jose taquitos are always cold in the middle. just horrible.
Fucking just buy pizza rolls.
And he had his buddies in the back row, like, preparing them and cutting them in ways that they looked like real food. He serves them to these guests. A few saw through the ruse. The majority, 5-star out of 5-star. Great, would come again.
People will just say whatever to feel like they fit in.
I love this guy.
Is this guy what is this guy doing now? Do you know anything about it?
I think he just came clean eventually. I think he wrote it on.
He had to go to fucking meetings. Assholes Anonymous.
Hi, my name is Jerry Jerkoff. I make fake restaurants.
I told you this story before. What it reminds me of is when me and a couple guys I know, we started up a fake MMA news website, and my one friend. Yeah? He decided to, really dive into this. Like, I wrote one about how the UFC was so cheap that they had to pay their fighters their bonuses by making them wear like miners' helmets and putting the light on. And after the fight, after the arena was empty, pick up all the change on the ground. So the guy that started this, whose name I won't say.
By the way, I just want to go on the record. I would certainly do that. I will do anything for a buck.
I know.
That joke.
So wait, this guy that started it wrote an article about the CEO and then owner of the UFC, Frank Fertitta, or Lorenzo Fertitta.
Is he the guy that has all those restaurants?
He owns a lot of casinos out in Vegas. He's looking into buying the Panthers right now. So here's an article that Lorenzo Fertitta was a pedo. That he was like touching kids and
that by the way and that legally is known as, what is it?
I think that's slander or libel.
No, slander is when you're yelling it. Libel's when you're
like, if I yelled out Lorenzo Fertitta is a pedo, that's slander.
I do not agree with that statement.
But if I wrote it, it's libel.
I still don't agree with that statement.
I'm not writing it down, but I said it, and I don't agree with that statement either. So he wrote this article, so that would have been libel. And the next thing you know, my buddy that writes it, he starts getting calls from a Vegas area code.
Yeah.
And they were like threatening his life. They knew his name. They knew where he lived. They knew what he did for work. They knew people that he knew. So he like dropped off the face of the internet for like a month.
Good.
And so then we shut down the website. It was called Boner Fights. There's actually
What's wrong with you?
So there's actually this video of the woman that does the UFC's like booth before games, like your pre and post game thing, and she was like, when she was first starting her website, she's reading it.
Wait,
we sent in questions. Someone sent in a question, goes, "Can you give a shout out to Boner Fights?" She's like, "I could see this already. Boner Fights, Boner Fight." If you type in Boner Fights on YouTube, you'll just see her. Boner Fights, Boner Fights.
Wait. My question is, the UFC was so afraid that breaking news out of bonerfights.com was going to ruin their image.
Boner Fights was the most reputable source in mixed martial arts news for a 2 to 3 month
Adam
window.
Schefter's going to jump ship to join Boner Fights.
Buster Only's leaving places. They're all Adrian Wojnarowski's joining here live at Boner Fights. Like LeBron James is leaving the Cavs.
People suing the Onion.
All right, so another subject I want to talk about, because we got Randy Fastball calling in about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes.
Do you have the live read, by the way? We do have spots we do need to do. Mark.
Yeah, Mark, live read.
All right. Yeah, keep going. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
All right. So the NFL draft was last night.
Yep.
Now your team picked second overall.
Yep.
And you guys took running back at Penn State,
Mr. Barks.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think taking a dog in the draft, let alone second overall, might not be the best course of action. Very professional there, Dan. No, all joking aside, and we had a lot of laughs just there. I like the pick. I loved him. He's the best player in the draft, just best physical player in the draft. Clearly, by all accounts, is a once-in-a-generational talent. I heard one scouting report, other than occasionally trying to do too much, God forbid you have a player that's trying to do too much, on the Giants. I love the pick. I think it was the best pick. If they took a quarterback, I'd be okay with it. You need a quarterback of the future. None of these guys really, really wowed me. Darnold would have been okay, but I would have been pissed if they took like Chubb or, Quentin Nelson there.
I like the pick. I think Barkley's going to be a very good player. I think the fact that who I thought was the best quarterback in the draft, Sam Darnold, was available, it would have been appropriate to take him. I think taking a running back second overall makes me think that Dave Gettleman thinks this roster is close to winning right now. I am of the belief that they are not even close to winning right now. They were an average offense with a healthy Odell Beckham. The year they won the playoffs 2 years ago, they didn't score more than 23 points once.
Yeah, because they had Bowl Cut coaching them. This is okay. Look, I know you're not a huge Pat Shermer fan. He's a you know the phrase professional hitter when it comes to baseball. Like Matt Halliday. He's a professional.
He's
hitter.
not a fish out of water like Bowl Cut was, but Bowl Cut still won 11 games.
Exactly. I think this Giants team of
with the defense
2 years ago, I think was closer to what they really are than that 2-11, 3-13 disaster we had.
What looks? I think that 2 wins looks worse than 11. 2 wins looks worse than 11 wins looks good. I think when you have 2 wins...
Oh, absolutely. 11 wins is the worst you can be. It's the worst respectable level I think you can be, if that makes any sense. That's where you go... That's the upper limit of average. Once you become 12-win team, you're great.
Now,
there's no such thing as a bad 12-win team.
I think that the reason I don't love the Barkley pick, I just like it, is... quality running backs can be had later. The value of the value of a running back is so diminished. And now that he is a second overall pick, and say he plays above expectations or at expectations, which are obviously high, when he comes up for free agency, are you ready to give that kind of money? No, you have to talk about it.
It's 5 years away.
But you have to talk about it. Yeah, in 5 years away, you may not have your quarterback.
You don't.
5 years from now, you may not have a quarterback, and you would be much more comfortable giving that big money to a potential franchise quarterback than you would a running back.
Guy, okay? If you're trading up a boatload of picks to pick him, okay, that's one thing.
I agree with that.
All right.
Diminish value.
All right. You're going to have guys that shed off the roster. I don't know where all the cap space is tied up, but, Olivier
Vernon, Damon Harrison, Janoris Jenkins.
Those guys, most of them, if not all of them, will be gone at that point.
You're going to have Landon Collins coming up.
You have
Beckham coming up.
I know. I'm just saying, you don't not draft a player in fear that he's going to be too good and you need to sign him later.
No, of course, but you also have to look at what you had, and the Giants had the least amount of draft picks in this draft with 6.
Yeah,
and a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah, but
so was the value there in taking running back or trading back 2 picks? Let's say 2 picks to get more picks this year or next year.
Okay, would I take what the Browns had and a decade and a half of mediocrity for 15 picks? I mean, 6 picks, it's fine.
6 picks is not fine. There's no value in 6 picks because now you can't trade up. You can't trade up now if there's a guy you want.
4 of them are. You can trade some of next year's.
You could
for where the draft is now. When you start to get into the 2nd round, the 3rd round, the 4th round, you can part with some of those picks if you really want the player. I don't think it's that ridiculous. I think if they traded up for a guy this early, or even the 2nd round, that would be a little much. I don't have any problem with the picks. I have no problem with the way that the team's going. I like the pick. I'm not drafting from a place of fear. The way you're thinking, using that
it's not a place of fear. It's a place of building.
You're saying you don't want to take the guy because he might play too good.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that's an element of it. When you're talking value,
that's like the argument like, we have 6 men in the rotation. It's a good problem to have.
Value in those high picks. Every draft pick has a certain amount of value, and the 2nd overall pick has a value, and every position has a value.
Absolutely.
Running backs are not worth nearly as much because the best running backs in the league can be had in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds. That's a fact.
They can.
Who were the best running back? Who was the leading rusher in the league last year? Answer that. Who was the leading rusher in the league last year?
I think it's Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. What round? 3rd round pick.
3rd round.
Who was the best rookie running back? And I don't think it was
Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara. Where was he had?
It's 6, I think.
Who's the best running back of the last 5 years? Le'Veon Bell. Who's another one? LaShawn McCoy. How many of those guys were 1st-round picks?
Yeah, well, those guys were 2nd-round picks, though.
Not all of them were 2nd-round picks.
Le'Veon Bell was a 2nd-round pick.
Who was? Le'Veon Bell? He was not a 2nd-round pick. 3rd, I believe.
A 3rd-round pick. Okay.
But again, there is a tremendous difference with what you're spending on a 1st-round pick when you could get the same value in play and production. Because you know who else? Who was the last big running back that was a bust at 2nd overall with the team?
Trent Richardson. Oh, yes. 2nd overall? He was 3rd.
But same kind of thing. And you saw what that did to him. And they were saying the same things about Trent Richardson that they're saying about him.
Quarterbacks that are busts that are taking that high
of course,
and that sets your franchise back even farther.
Of course it does. But the truth is, any 1st-round pick of a mix sets you back. No matter if you miss on a 1st-round pick, you're in trouble.
If you
unless you're the
chance
Patriots.
To get a once-in-a-generation player, and he might be a horrible bust, you may be completely right.
I don't think he's going to be a bust. I'm not saying that.
But if you have a guy where you now need to change the way the defenses play, on top of a wide receiver that changes the way the defense plays, with a guy that could be a top 5 tight end, I don't care that he's on the decline, you still have a professional quarterback back there. I think that's a great problem to have.
Okay, so then let me ask you this.
What?
say he's plugged into the team, instantly as a starter, which you expect. How much better of a team are they with him going from 2 wins to an empty slate?
Okay,
with
so
the off-season moves they made.
All right, I actually think him alone, just what his value is, I don't think you can predict that because you have a new coaching staff, you have the free agent signings.
I just want to know how much better they're going to be
with him alone. So, how good they were Wednesday night as they are today?
Correct.
I think you could bring 2 full wins on the team.
So
which for one player to do, I think is substantial.
So let's say realistically they go from 2 wins. I'll be even fair here. I'll give them 6 wins. Okay, 6
I think
wins.
they're gonna be better than 6 wins.
Okay, but let's just say 6 wins
Okay.
on the low side. Okay, you said double with wins, which would be 4, 6. You are now in the middle of the draft. Okay, so when Eli Manning is done, and you don't have a quarterback to replace him, but you have this stud running back who doesn't win you games, mind you. Where is your franchise when you're stuck in purgatory, which is as someone that has been in as someone that's been in draft purgatory with teams that were consistently 7-9, 7-9, 6-10, 6-10, and you don't get the value for your pick, and you have these quality players that leave your team and do better than they were with you because now they're around a better team that had the better draft prospects.
You can easily get a franchise guy in the middle of the first round. You can easily do it.
When
look around the league,
who?
Joe Flacco was the middle of the round.
Okay, Joe Flacco's been one of the 5 worst quarterbacks in the league the last 3 years.
He won a Super Bowl for the team.
Yeah,
all right?
we can't keep talking about 5 years ago. He's been a bad quarterback the last 3 years.
Are you asking, are you getting an MVP in the middle of the round? I can't think of one. Oh, wait, 23rd overall, Aaron Rodgers. You got
of course. That was also a long time. I'm talking recently.
If you want to go team by team?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You start.
Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill. He's
17th overall.
He's a mediocre quarterback.
Mediocre quarterback. That's what you're going to get more often than not.
Okay, let's go team by team. You want
Deshaun Watson, injured. Andrew Luck,
middle.
Andrew Luck, great.
Wait. Injury is not a...
Oh, injury is absolutely part of it. Durability. You draft for durability.
1 year he tore an ACL.
He missed who? Deshaun Watson? Or talking about Andrew Luck or Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun Watson.
Okay, Deshaun Watson. 1 year where he tore an ACL, but again, he missed a lot of time. He was great when he played, and now you don't know.
And now we're going to Andrew Luck. Okay,
he was great.
Your franchise guy. Torn capsule. We don't know if he's ever going to play again, and he was a can't-miss guy.
He was a can't-miss
guy.
Exactly.
And where did the Colts pick? Where
they picked first overall that year.
No, but where did they pick this year? Originally, before they traded?
They
were third.
Third, correct.
So where did that pick get them?
Of course, because they were stuck in draft purgatory being average teams that they could not draft the talent to make up for the lack of what Andrew Luck was hiding.
But they have a can't-miss prospect. I'm saying, I don't...
And they traded for a can't-miss prospect in Trent Richardson. They gave up too much, and he did nothing for him.
Trent Richardson was just a bomb.
But people said the same things about Trent.
Richardson did not get what Barkley's got.
Dude, Trent Richardson was compared to Adrian Peterson coming out. Are you kidding?
The last 2 guys who got the same amount of hype as this, Ezekiel Elliott, great. I think he was a very good
Trent
pick.
Richardson went 3rd overall.
To the Browns. They're idiots.
Yes, but everyone, dude, I saw a great side-by-side video comparison article. It was comparing the things that said the same things that scouts said about Saquon Barkley, that they said about Trent Richardson, comparing game tape, the things they said, the things they were worried about, but overall said, this is a can't-miss prospect. Do you remember when the Browns traded him, and everyone said, yo, the Colts got fucking Trent Richardson. He wasn't looked at as a bust yet. It took a while of unraveling. And I think Barkley's going to be a good player. I do not think
Barkley also has intangibles that Richardson never had. I understand the comparison just from running back early in the draft position, but they're completely different. Also, the role of since Richardson was drafted has completely changed.
Of course,
there's a blocking element that a running back is more expected to have than he didn't have. There is a patch casting result. Aspect to it. You have a team that
a passing element sometimes too.
You have a team compared to the Browns, and I know, okay, it's a new regime. It's Pat Shurmur. He's not, a name that lights up the boards. You have a team that actually knows what it's doing. You could put Peyton Manning on the Browns, and they'll find a way to lose, 12 games.
Well, I will disagree because I think a great quarterback masks the biggest of warts. But here's my other question, going beyond, where the quality can be had at running back in the draft, is what team, the last that had a Super Bowl win, a Super Bowl run, had a highly drafted running back in recent memory?
I think I understand where you're going with this. I think the problem is there hasn't been highly drafted running backs until the last 3 years. So there was a 5 or 6 year span from Richardson. Other than Richardson, before we got into the Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott era, there wasn't a running back taken in the first 20 picks.
That's a good point, and I can see that now. But my personal take on it is that you spent a high value pick. The teams that did draft them, Gurley, Richardson, etc.
They're so early in their career.
They're spending a high value pick. You know, say your draft picks 1 through 10 are worth $20 each. Okay, but they're giving you the value of $5 when you spent 20. You're getting $5 worth when you can get $10 value in the 4th round by spending $2. But if you look at it, you look at the teams that have had these deep Super Bowl runs recently. Who are the Patriots running backs? Who are the Falcons quarterbacks or running backs? When you look at the teams that have been in the Super Bowl recently,
I understand what you are saying, but you can do that with any position around there. You can find a great interior lineman in the 3rd round, 4th.
You know what most of the teams have had the big Super Bowl runs recently do have that they drafted early? Pass rushers. That's the biggest one.
So you're thinking they should take Chubb?
Chubb or a quarterback. I mean, Chubb to me, if you can draft a guy that's going to average you 15 sacks a year, when the Giants have always only 2 things, and you drafted one of them, a running game and a pass rush. They don't have one of those right now. They got the other. They had one for a couple years when they had Vernon and JPP.
I understand what you're saying, but I think it comes down to, just to kind of bring it to my original point, the most athletic, the smartest football offensive player that's not a quarterback, let's say that. The guy who, the charisma he exudes, he walks in the locker room, he's a guy that, he's
an alpha male.
He's an alpha male. You want that kind of player. I think he is a franchise tone setting player. There's not going to be a question mark at running back unless he's injury prone or, we're 8 weeks into the season and he's, averaging, 2.9 yards per carry.
I don't expect that. He's going to be a good running back. I'm not worried about that.
I think there's a lot that comes with him. I think, I love the pick. I really do love the pick. I understand.
I'm not trying to like shit on it either, but I'm just trying to figure value proposition.
Also, if you have no other linemen and you take Chubb, and I'm not saying the Giants do. They actually would have a pretty stout line if they took him, but one lineman, I think, doesn't make a defense that much better. I think one running back, a great running back, has more effect on the offense.
See, I'm going to disagree there. I do think that the pass rush, especially when you play
I'm saying
in the division,
one player.
I just don't value the running back that high anymore because, I've seen it in Miami now where it's been 6 straight years where they dumped these running backs out that none of them were first-round picks. They had Lamar Miller, who ran really well for them and got paid. They had Jay Ajayi, who got traded. They have Kenyon Drake now.
These aren't like great guys. They're professionals.
Of course, Ajayi was one of the leading rushers 2 years ago. Lamar Miller put up back-to-back years of 1,000 yards.
Jay Ajayi also doesn't have any cartilage.
Exactly. Well, that's another reason he slipped. But there's value that can be had for the same level of production. Obviously, you don't know. He could come out and rush for 2,000 yards his rookie year. You don't know. But he's also not going to the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. He's going to a very below average offensive line that he could absolutely improve, but a great running back can't make a bad offensive line good. He can make a bad offensive line average and an average offensive line good and good offensive line great.
Listen, I understand everyone says this is a win now pick. It's a win now pick.
It is. It is a win now pick. And you're supposed to be trying to win now, of course, but a GM's job is also to make sure the franchise is secure for the next 10 years.
You have solidified your skill positions. You can go into the next 2 to 3 drafts, and you don't need to pick a skill position guy in your first 3 picks now. That gives you the luxury.
That's if you re-sign Odell Beckham.
They're gonna re-sign Odell
I don't think they're gonna re-sign.
What are you
gonna fucking trade? Because I don't think Giants fans are prepared.
Why am I
for him to
talking
leave.
to Uncle Dan here?
I don't think Giants fans are prepared for Odell Beckham to leave, and I don't think Gettleman wants any part of. Gettleman wants to win right now.
I know.
Gettleman's garbage.
I'm not doing the
All right, so we
thing.
talked enough about the Giants.
We have to do our
I don't want to talk about the Dolphins too much. I was happy with the pick of Minka Fitzpatrick. He's a two-way safety. He can tackle, but he's great in coverage. Allows him to put T.J. McDonald more in a pseudo linebacker role, so him and Rashad Jones could play in the secondary. I was very happy they didn't have one of the quarterbacks fall because I do believe you draft a quarterback until you know you have a franchise quarterback, but I would not have wanted Allen.
Would you have taken Rosen if he fell to you?
I personally know if they took him, I would have understood it. I would have had to accept it. I would not have been excited about it. If they took Allen, I would have been very, very angry because I think Allen's going to be
garbage.
He's Kyle Bowler all over again. He's got a cannon of an arm, but he can't hit a fucking 10-yard out. Sorry, give me the guy that hit the 10-yard out over the fucking.
The more I read about him leading up to the draft, I was like, this guy's scary. But
he came out of nowhere. It was like fucking listen about what's his name that the Jaguars drafted years ago, not Blake Bortles, the other one.
Oh, Gabbert.
Yeah, Blaine Gabbert. It was the same thing.
Blaine Gabbert's good, dude.
Oh, he's great.
He's great.
So, since we're talking about the NFL draft, actually, it made me think of a movie. I don't know if you saw this.
No.
Starring Kevin Costner. Draft Day.
Ooh.
Did you see Draft Day?
I've actually never seen Draft
So
Day.
I thought the idea of it looked really fucking stupid. I'm like,
The movie should have been a disaster.
it should have been a disaster, but
Ironically,
dude,
about
it
a
was,
successful team like the Browns.
It was really fucking good. Dude, I was so entertained. Costner, I don't love him in like dramatic roles like fuck Waterworld and fuck Dances with Wolves. Fucking horse shit won the Oscar.
I'm not gonna
over
lie.
Goodfellas.
A little aside here. Waterworld is a bad movie. Don't get me wrong.
It has a charm to it.
It reminds me a lot of Batman vs Superman.
It's nothing like
No.
Super.
But I get that same feeling. I enjoy watching.
I was like, are you comparing them? Yeah, I remember that scene.
Kevin Costner and Batman are floating around on a raft.
So Draft Day, listen, Draft Day is a flawed movie. It's a little goofy, it's hokey, but I had times where I was working with sports media on Draft Day and I got to see a little bit of what like the draft war rooms were like, and it was pretty authentic, man. And Costner, one thing he does really well is sports movies. He's awesome in sports movies.
Yeah.
Dude, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams alone. I'm down always.
Fuck, he was in both of them.
Dude, exactly. And I would highly recommend, I would love for you to watch Draft Day.
I'll watch Draft Day.
And let me know what you think of it, because I remember when I watched it like when it first came out on Blu-ray, and I was like, this is going to be a piece of shit. And it was a lot of fun, man. Like the way it all unfolded, it's obviously hokey in the way everything comes together.
So
like
clearly,
it's fucking Tetris.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
And this isn't like a spoiler question because I haven't seen it, obviously, but the NFL obviously had to give their okay on the movie.
Yes.
Is it an NFL movie or is it a movie the NFL loaned their license to?
No, it's an NFL movie. I mean, there's obviously a little side.
That's surprising.
You have to put the little love story in there where Kevin Costner's landing Jennifer Garner.
They have a scene where a guy thinks about committing domestic abuse and he goes, "Oh no, can't get that 6 games."
Yeah, exactly. The scene where they cover up the concussion issues and tell you, no, you'll be fine.
A guy goes to kneel and they quickly cut away.
Actually, the climax of the film is Roger Goodell going into Aaron Hernandez's prison and slipping him a rope, saying, yeah. But Roger Goodell's actually in the movie. He has a scene. He has a short cameo because it does lead up to the draft. But
I know it's trendy to hate him, but I really
so
hate
I
him.
think in the spirit, everyone hates Roger Goodell. In the spirit of the NFL draft and the upcoming season, and now there's going to see the Giants are going to sign Des Bryant, by the way. And so I think you should watch that. I think you'll end up being entertained. It's definitely hokey and goofy. My biggest complaint is there's no actual soundtrack. So you get there's like a score, but there's no like actual music playing, and I felt like it could have used that.
Certain movies that does work for though. Draft Day is not one of them. That's not an artistic film.
But the way they paced it was pretty. It was
it?
pretty cool. Yeah, no, I was actually just watched it again not too long ago because I'd only watched it when the first time I saw it, and I was like, let me see if I was just impressed because I thought it was going to be garbage, and I watched it. And I was like, dude, it was entertaining. Costner was really good in the role of the GM with family ties to the team.
It's one of those movies where there's this one guy and will he go? Do they want to trade the
Yeah, of course, dude. I told you,
don't ruin it for me. I'll
it's
watch
it's generic in a lot of ways. It's what you would if you wanted to make a good movie about the draft. This is the only way you could make it. Honestly, you have to make it a little hokey. You have to suspend disbelief a little bit and be okay with the fact that 60-year-old Kevin Costner is landing horse-toothed Jennifer Garner, who he's like 20 years older than.
I like Jennifer Garner. I like her in those airline commercials for the
Doesn't she do the credit card commercials?
Yeah, but isn't she always on a plane in them? I'm not quite sure what they're
I hope it's a plane flown by Muhammad Atta.
Oh. All right, guys. We couldn't do a show like this without our wonderful sponsors.
We love our sponsors.
Yes, we do. Before I do get into the live read, I want to let you know that Dan is trying to show me how to do little things on the board. Our producers ran out. They're getting us pads, they're getting us beer, whatever. So Dan's trying to do it himself.
I need more pizza.
He's talking into the mic like this while I'm sitting 2 feet away, pulling knobs.
What does this have to do with our wonderful sponsors, Ralph?
I don't know. I just want everyone to
didn't
know
pay you to
what an
talk about
incompetent
this.
person you are.
Very.
All right, let's get to our sponsors. You Watch, I Listen is brought to you by Buena Vista's Homeward Bound 3. Chance, Shadow, and Sassy return for a heart-pounding adventure across the ruins of the Salton Sea. Join them as they encounter tweakers, narcotic peddlers, and mafioso types. You will laugh, cry, and celebrate this amazing tale, spelled T-A-I-L, of canine and feline redemption. Mike Micah calls Homeward Bound 3 a stellar roller coaster of emotion for the entire family. Dark Oracle calls it hands down the best animal movie of
Dark
the year.
Oracle said that.
Dark Oracle, and he's not.
Wow.
He doesn't throw around praise often.
Yeah, I'm
he
gonna,
does throw away.
I'm gonna take some time to watch this one.
It's going to be in theaters soon. Homer's triumphant return to the big screen. You'll be howling and barking all the way home. It'll even help you forget what a terrible nothing you truly have become because your wife left you for the mailman Scott again. Homer Bound 3 is premiering June 31st in theaters nationwide. Go see it.
All right, so moving away from the tasteless joke, we talked about a movie I think you should watch because you would enjoy. What do you have on your list?
You know what this reminds me of? Driving over here, I was actually, I'm weird. So when it's during the winter, I listen to a lot of podcasts, such as You Watch, You Listen. What's the name of our show?
You got it.
No, I didn't.
You watch, I listen.
No, I said You Watch, You Listen.
I guess I'll do both.
We're both yelling at the TV while the music's blaring.
We're deaf.
So I'm driving over here. I'm getting to my music again. I'm kind of getting back into a loop, and you go through moments.
Sure.
And you just have your go-to albums that you always have in rotation.
Yeah. I'm jamming the new Perfect Circle right now.
Oh, actually, I listened to a little of it.
It's really good. It's
like
weird. It's different. It's a little poppy. There's a couple songs that sound like Nine Inch Nails.
You want Poppy?
No,
I got
like a poppy seed bagel, or our high school gym teacher, Mr. Poppy.
I like how so many they fail a drug test. I ate a poppy seed. Do you know how many poppy seed bagels you need to eat to fail a drug test?
17. I got it first try.
You won the prize.
But I do also recommend listening to the A Perfect Circle album.
No, I've been listening to it a little bit.
Okay.
But if you want Poppy, I got it out for you. So one of my favorite albums.
You were listening to this on the way over here?
I was listening to this on the way over here, actually.
Okay.
It's a band called Bad Astronaut.
Bad Astronaut.
Bad Astronaut. The album's called Acrophobe.
Acrophobe?
Acrophobe, like you're afraid of
spiders?
Spiders, yeah, Acrophobe. It's anyone who knows me, it's one of those albums that anytime I've had a few drinks at a party, I'm always you should listen to Acrophobe. You should listen to Acrophobe.
How would you describe the music for someone that I'm not as into music as I used to be, but I'm always open to it?
So it's kind of
you said it's poppy.
It's poppy. So it's actually a side project of another band called Lagwagon, who I'm actually not a big fan of. I actually like the side project of the guy better than his actual band, but it's pop punk, but it's a little more well produced, I would say, than say like Green Day or Blink-182, any of those Good Charlotte.
Yeah.
And it's got just some.
It's a little more creative too.
Yeah. There's very emo heavy lyrics, but that good kind of emo where you can relate.
Is
to
it like radio friendly kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, it's
like,
all radio. Yeah.
No, I don't mean like explicit, but I mean like, is it stuff that you could potentially hear like turning on the radio?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's got that kind of sound.
So every song I would say on the album could get stuck in your head. Every song of the album has gone stuck in my head.
How long has this album been out?
Oh, it's old.
Is this band still together?
They're side projects, so they just randomly will record an album.
So it's kind of like Maynard with every other band that isn't Tool.
Yeah, basically.
I guess Tool's the side project now. This fucking last album was 2005.
It's been that long?
Dude, and the new Perfect Circle is their first album since 2004.
I knew that was old. I didn't know that.
And he's released like 4 Pucifer albums in that time, and I like them too, but so this is a side project. What kind of music is Lagwagon? Is it completely different from Bad Astronaut?
It's a little heavier. It's more punk influence. This is more radio friendly.
Is it
I would say.
all the guys in the band side project, or just one of the guys?
I don't know enough about them, to be honest. I just know
I'm
the
interested.
lead singer.
I like when I'm up late and I'm a little inebriated. I like going on Wikipedia.
I hear you.
And just reading deep into like
these guys don't have Wikipedia pages.
Oh,
yeah.
Do they have a Wikipedia?
I do know they do have a Wikipedia.
Not Wikipedia though.
Let's just, you know what we should do? Just go on Wikipedia and just start putting like
just
pages
start adding
of like normal things or like
the
kayaks.
people we know. Kayaks, picture frames.
No one vets that stuff.
Yes, of course.
No, yeah, going back to nerd culture, they probably do vet everything.
They vet everything. God forbid you said Chewbacca had an unclipped dick and you're in
Chewbacca,
trouble.
Chewbacca,
okay.
In The Last Jedi, really did not bring out the screw off. I liked it. Anyway, I do know that the drummer he died. And they kind of
congrats.
That shook him up a little bit, but
shook him up a lot.
Not him. He
how did he die?
Either drug overdose, suicide.
Probably one of those things.
One of the rock and roll.
He's
things.
hanging out with Avicii.
Avicii. Ooh.
Yeah. You know what bothered me? People calling him a musician.
I like Avicii.
Okay, you could like him. The motherfucker was not a musician. He had a musical ear, but I'm sorry, if you're on a fucking computer editing sounds, that does not make you a musician.
No, yeah, it does. We're musicians right now.
No, we're not. We're a bunch of assholes with microphones and 3 producers standing there with their thumbs up their asses. Well, 2, because one is getting my pizza right now.
How long have you been waiting for your pizza?
It's been about 40 minutes. I know that in West
We could
Melford...
have finished half a draft day by now.
We would have gotten to the part where Kevin Costner starts finger popping Jennifer Garner.
Ew. What's that sound I keep making?
Yeah, you're fucking George Takei.
Yeah.
So, Bad Astronaut, Acrophobe.
It's a very, I would say, if one way to describe it, it's a very breezy album to listen to.
So it's easy listening. It's like listening to the Commodores.
Yeah, Commodores, the Four Tops,
the Four Tops.
My little aside, which is like our 8th one. My dad listened to the Four Tops. All he listened to from like my ages of like 4 to 6.
Do you know how often we like give away tickets to the Four Tops at work? We always have tickets for, I don't know if it's the original group or like.
It can't be the original group. I don't all be 120.
Then it's like like they have like the full Fab or the Fab Faux or whatever. It's like a
Fab Faux.
Yeah, Fab Faux. Like it's a fake band, but we always have things to the Four Tops. And one of those, we always give away fucking Paul Anka. We always give away. We always give away fucking Pat Benatar. Who cares about Pat Benatar?
I like Pat Benatar.
No, she's okay. I don't really care.
Well, you really
I turned around.
You really turned around quick. Who cares about Pat Benatar? I like her. Yeah, she's fine.
So I have here. I'm gonna give this album a listen. I need some new stuff to listen to because A Perfect Circle's been out a week and I've listened to it about 15 times.
You know what actually happened to me? Sleep released a new album and I love the album, but I'm sick of it already. And I don't like when I do that to an album. But I'll give you that another way.
You know what's funny? I'm looking at my producer notes here, and I sent these them earlier to punch up, so I had it in front of me. And I wrote down, a bunch of different things. And I mentioned Draft Day to you. And I think when I was doing the notes, I forgot the name of the movie. And I just wrote The Draft. And I looked at it. I'm like, it's a movie about a fucking like house fire. Or someone get cold and need a blanket.
Wait. It's not a complicated movie. What's it about? Draft Day. How did you forget the name?
I don't know. But like The Draft, it's, honey, give me a blanket. That's the whole movie.
Anyway, so it's a real easy the album.
How long of an album is it?
It's real short. It might even be an EP. I'm not even sure. It's no more than 25 minutes, I would say.
And EP thing is pretty interesting, guys. That's what Trent Reznor's done recently with 9 Inch Nails. He's released 2 EPs in the last like 6 months, and his next one is supposed to be like the culmination of those 2.
Well, he's got that like Halo thing going on, right? Where each one's a Halo. I like it.
Yeah. Trent's I'm a fanboy, obviously, but he's a very interesting person with what he does. Yeah, I mean, I told you have to come see them live.
I would definitely see them.
They're out there.
They're on my list of
having been to a good amount of concerts in my life. That is one, having seen them multiple times, that like each time I end up like in awe of like what you're actually like hearing and seeing.
The thing when he does an EP though, it's part of like an artistic vision.
Yeah.
This I just think they're like, oh, how much material do we have? 25 minutes. That's good. Let's do it.
That's what I thought, but I was reading into it though, and that's not what he's doing, because this all really started when the album, the first time I saw them was when not Year Zero, maybe it was Year Zero.
Year Zero was 2007.
He was in a dispute with his record label, and he just
shocker.
decided.
I feel like he's always in dispute.
He decided he's like, all right, I'm just going to release the album a week before it's supposed to come out for free on my website, and literally you're just able to download it. And then now he just releases everything independently. But that also helps when you're this like one of the most sought after composers in Hollywood and television.
Did you hear the one he did, Ghosts, the ambient albums?
Yeah, I listened to it falling asleep a bunch of times, and when I saw them live, I was like, I hope he doesn't play anything off Ghosts. But he did, and the visuals on it, when you're watching it, it was fucking incredible, man. Like I did not want to hear that shit at all, but visually it was like watching a fucking movie.
I love
watching the Cosmos with the 9 Inch Nails track.
I love post rock. I love post metal. I love ambient stuff. That album, I'm like, what is going on?
No, I never.
And that album's made for people like me.
Yeah, and that's the one I always skip when I listen to them. I'll listen to Downward Spiral, Pretty Hate Machine, The Fragile, With Teeth, Year Zero. I'll listen to all those over and over again. I will never put on Ghosts, whatever it is.
Yeah,
but I put it on when it first came out, like as a fanboy falling asleep, and now I don't ever need to hear it again.
Yeah, but.
All right, and now we're going to move on to one of my favorite segments on the show.
Where are we going?
Well, we have the call lines have been lit up the whole time. Thank you to our wonderful producers, Mike, Mark, and Michelle. We have Randy Fastball on the line,
Randy!
our resident expert. And Randy Fastball, as a special introduction, he's going to answer a question for us. In our next episode, he'll answer some more questions. And when you guys have questions, you send them in to us. And Randy Fastball will do the courtesy of answering them for you. As he is
a renaissance
He
man.
is an expert. So, Randy, first of all, how you doing? Thanks for being on the show. Randy, you on the line? Randy? Randy!
Hello? Oh, hey, Dan and Ralph. Woo! Great show today, guys. Thanks for inviting me, and I am a pleasure to be here. So what do you got for me today?
All right, Randy, the first question I want to ask you, and we're going to keep it short today. What do you think about the Mets right now and how the Mets are doing? And just tell us a little about what you think about baseball and the Mets.
Wow, that's a great question, guys. Thanks for asking me about Mets. You know, I don't know too much about anything, but I do know just about everything there is to know about the Mets. And I've been following Mets since
I would
the early '80s.
Okay.
Dan, excuse me, Dan.
I'm sorry, I'll let you
Can
finish.
I finish? I don't know. Excuse me. What was I saying? Oh, I've been following Mets since '81, '82. Mets and Mariners. Those are my two teams that I like to go for. I've always gone for Mets and Mariners equally. Even though, I think when you ask people, if you ask somebody, hey, what is America's team? Who's America's team that the nation really gets behind? I think everybody always says, hey, it's the Mets. What are you, an idiot? What are you, dumb? Everybody knows it's Mets. And a lot of people know that the Mariners are the greatest team in baseball history. Who else had 116 wins in 1 year during the Dinger era? Nobody. So, you're talking baseball, you're talking Mets and Mariners. And Mets, look, they started off 12-1. Pretty good. I didn't like the one loss, but I thought it was all right. Room for improvement. But now things aren't going as good. But look, if anybody could pull it out of the hat, it's the Mets. And could you imagine Mets, Mariners, postseason baseball? I mean, wow. We got a long way to go before that one, though, guys. Am I right? Am I right, Ralph? What do you think?
Well, Randy, it was
great show today, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Ralph, you really nailed it.
Thank you.
I'm talking nailed it. You nailed it out of the park. Dan, needs a little bit of improvement. Definitely room for improvement.
I'm trying.
But great job anyway, bud. I'm proud of you. Proud of you, Ralph. Proud of the work you boys are doing.
That's my goal.
Thank you.
My goal.
Young boys.
I really appreciate it, Randy.
You boys just keep up the young boy style.
We're going to try, man.
Randy.
You drive safe.
Old college try.
Okay, Randy.
And I appreciate the effort. Dan, I appreciate your effort.
Thanks, man.
Like I said, needs a little bit of improvement.
I'm trying.
But
I'm trying,
great.
man.
Thanks for having me on. It was an honor for you.
It was great having you, Randy.
I appreciate
We'll
it.
talk to you next week.
Appreciate it.
Bye, Randy.
And we'll talk to you guys next time. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye,
Randy.
Drive safe, Randy. All right, and that's going to do it for the first episode of You Watch, I Listen. I want to thank anyone that listened, anyone that bared through this. I want to thank our sponsors again. That's Dr. Bob Roberts, Foot in Soles, SelectedTicket.com. Ralph,
Don't forget the movie with the animals.
Homeward Bound 3.
Homeward Bound 3.
Where would we be without our great sponsors that allow us to provide this quality content for you? I want to thank Randy Fastball as well. Did you have something to say?
Randy really, I think he was the kind of the spark that we needed to kind of get through the show.
We were just about needing an oil change, and he provided that for us.
He did. I think we're going to record another 8 hours right now.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions for Randy, if you have any questions for us, comments, head to our Facebook page. our YouTube page, wherever you're listening to this. Subscribe on SoundCloud. We have a SoundCloud account now, guys.
We
Thanks
do?
to our great sponsors.
Is that
Yeah,
new?
that's from Dr. Bob Roberts Insoles, man.
Homeward Bound.
Homeward Bound.
June 31st.
June 31st in theaters. We will see you guys next week. Be happy with the rest of the NFL draft. Let's go Mets. Let's go Dolphins. Everyone died at the end of Avengers, including Loki, Winter Soldier. Sorry, don't care if it pissed you off. Ralph.
Aw.